All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at something I think pretty fascinating,
Yeah.
and that is how even our smallest failures
Mm.
can sometimes teach us the biggest lessons.
Yeah, for sure.
And to do that, we're diving into some excerpts from Small Failures, Big Lessons.
Ooh, I like that title.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Catchy.
And speaking of small, the source actually brings up this word minuscule,
Interesting.
which I thought was pretty fitting given the whole theme.
Yeah, absolutely. Minuscule, I think, really gets at the heart of these like little tiny failures that we often kind of just dismiss or overlook, right?
Yeah.
But the source makes a really compelling point that maybe we shouldn't be so quick to just brush those small things under the rug.
Yeah, that's what really kind of grabbed me, when I was first reading through it,
Mhm.
this question that the source asks about whether small failures maybe actually shape us more than those big ones.
Right. The ones that we, tend to focus on more.
Yeah.
It's funny how those small things can actually have such a big impact looking back.
It's true.
I think what's really interesting about the source's take on this is that it presents these small failures as almost like previews.
Oh, interesting.
Right, like little glimpses into what could go wrong on a larger scale if we don't learn from them.
Oh, that's a really interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, and they give us a chance to kind of course correct,
Right.
adjust our approach so we can potentially avoid those major setbacks down the road.
Yeah, almost like a warning system
Exactly.
built into our experiences.
Yeah. I like that.
And it reminded me of the example the source gives about the Titanic.
Ah, yes, classic example.
Right, where it wasn't just one big massive failure that caused the tragedy.
It was a whole series of seemingly small, unrelated things that were kind of just ignored.
Right, exactly.
And they all just built up over time and
Uh-huh.
ultimately led to this catastrophic event.
And the source suggests that if some of those smaller issues had been addressed.
Yeah, maybe things could have turned out differently.
Right, exactly.
It's really, I think, a powerful illustration of how a chain of small failures can really snowball into something much bigger if they're not addressed.
Mm-hmm.
But, it also highlights this important idea that the source emphasizes throughout, which is that we shouldn't be afraid of those small failures. We should actually embrace them because they offer such valuable learning opportunities.
It's funny because, even though we know that logically, right?
Yeah.
That we're supposed to learn from our mistakes and that failures can be opportunities for growth.
Right.
Why is it that those small failures still feel so impactful? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they can definitely leave a lasting impression.
They do.
The source even mentions how emotionally impactful these small failures can be. And reading that really made me think of that Winnie the Pooh quote.
Oh, which one?
The one where he says, sometimes the smallest things take up the most room in your heart.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's perfect for this.
No. It is, isn't it? It's like, even though these failures might be minuscule, they can still feel like we're carrying this huge burden.
Right.
But, maybe that feeling isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, think of it this way. That feeling could actually be a really powerful motivator.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It might be a signal from, our subconscious saying, hey, pay attention to this. This is something you can learn from and do better next time.
Yeah.
So it's like, instead of letting those small failures hold us back,
Right.
we can actually use them to propel ourselves forward.
It's almost like I remember the source had that cartoon image of the person tripping
Oh, yeah. I love that visual.
and they get back up.
With this determined look on their face.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's such a great visual representation of that resilience.
Yes, exactly. The mindset of, I fell down, I'm getting back up.
Yeah, it's not about letting those small stumbles define us.
Yeah.
It's about using them as stepping stones to reach our goals.
So I guess the big question is, how do we actually do that?
Right. How do we take all of this and apply it to our own lives?
Exactly.
I think a good place to start is by asking ourselves how we can be more aware of those small mistakes that we make every day. The ones that we might typically just dismiss or overlook.
And then what, like analyze them or something?
Yeah, exactly. Like take a moment to really reflect on them and see what we can learn.
I like that.
Because those tiny missteps might actually be the key to unlocking some bigger successes.
Wow, what a thought.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful when you think about it, right?
It is. Yeah, that's really something to consider.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for taking this deep dive with me into the world of Small failures, big lessons.
Yeah, this was a great conversation.
I really hope everyone listening leaves feeling a little bit more inspired to see those little slip-ups, not as defeats,
Right.
but as opportunities for growth
For sure.
and ultimately success.
Absolutely.
All right, until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.